You're looking live at Farrell Brown warming up. It's week 3. The Texans are in Chicago at Soldier Field. Cloudy day out there. Lovie Smith returns to Chicago. He knows a thing or two about winning games here. Can he help the Texans get their first win today? We're about to get into some of your top stories. We're going to go one-on-one with Jalen Petrie. We're answering fan questions. Texans Unlimited Live, presented by Verizon, starts now.
Welcome to our coverage of Houston Texans football.
Need some juice, need some energy, and just do your job. Let's go, Texans! Let's go!
Welcome into Texans Unlimited Live, presented by Verizon. It's week 3. It's Chicago Bears. It's the Houston Texans. Lovie's return to Chicago. I've got my good friend Cecil Shorts here. Welcome in, Cecil. We are standing today.
We are standing.
Because our producer, Tyler Marcotte, says it brings energy, and we're hoping that our energy also translates to a win today as well. Because it's a big game for both these teams today.
It is a big game. I think this for the Texans, you were so close in week 1. You were close last week, and it's like, okay, we're on the cusp of things. Let's get things rolling. So I think today, I'm hoping today is a W for us and get this win in Chicago.
We're going to see a little bit of a shakeup with the wide receivers because of the inactives list. But just seeing what Davis Mills did in week 2, unable to really get the passing game going today, how do you bounce back from a performance like that? Is that on the receivers? Is that on the quarterback? What can they sort of do to get into the end zone today?
It's a little bit on both. I think there were some drops last week, or I wouldn't say drops, but tough catches that we could have made. We talk about the receiving core. I'm a receiver at heart, so I always say we. But when it comes to that, it's timing throughout the week of practice. So those guys know after the film on Monday, hey, we should have hit this, we should have hit this route, we missed you on here. Let's work on these routes during the week, and hopefully that time's up for today.
All right, well, let's see if it does. Let's get into some of your quick hits presented by BMW. It's also going to be a big day for the run game. Could today be Damien Pierce's breakout performance? The Chicago Bears are 31st against the run, but they're also 8th when it comes to offensive runs in the game. So Lovie Smith says this game's going to go through the run game, both on offense and defense for his squad.
As far as Damien, well, yeah, I mean, there's a commitment to the run. And, we know a little bit about, we've said we're at least maybe second cousins as far as how we play defense. There's a commitment to it. And I think every defense should start off trying to stop the run. I'm looking at us. I'm going to say, hey, what do we need to do first? We need to stop the run. And you make that commitment to it. I'm sure they'll do the same thing, but we understand that too. We've got to be able to run the football. But it's so much more. When I talk about running the football, there's so much more than just running the football. We got to be successful running the ball, but we got to open our passing game up too. When teams make a hard commitment to stopping the run like that, they're a one-on-one situation outside. As you talk to our guys outside and our quarterback getting the ball to them, we have to do some things like that to help the run also.
And Davis Mills, he threw 2 touchdown passes in week 1, unable to find the end zone in week 2. So what has he learned through the first 2 games? He talked about what he hopes to improve here in week 3.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, there's some situations I can help out the offensive line a little bit, step up into the pocket. I think our guys on the edge, especially left and right tackle, are giving me a really good pocket, so I've got to help them out a little bit and step up and take a little bit of pressure off those guys. And then there's opportunities, some big-time stuff that we had down the field this past game, but there's also a lot of times where if they cover deep, I can check the ball down and not have to force it downfield, and big plays will come from that too. So, I mean, there's things we've been working on that we can execute while still taking shots down the field.
And Jonathan Grenard, he picked up his first sack of the season against Russell Wilson last week. He faces another very mobile, very athletic quarterback in Justin Fields. He's going to be a big challenge for this Texans front 7, Grenard says.
Yeah, he's an athlete. I mean, that's what you get drafted early for, like guys like that. I mean, he's a huge talent. Good size, good speed. He's a young quarterback who's still growing in this league and making a lot of plays. So we understand that from an athletic standpoint, what he can do with us if you're not honed in on your technique and staying within the defensive scheme. But we're going to do our best to make him feel uncomfortable back there and do our same objective every week as a D-line to just continue to be disruptive.
All right, we talked about a little bit of a shakeup with the wide receivers, so let's get into some of your inactives for the Texans and the Bears. Let's start with the Texans. Inactive for today, Brevin Jordan. He showed up on the injury report last week. He is out. Tyler Johnson, inactive. He will not make his Texans debut today. Isaac Yaudem, Jake Hansen, Austin Deculus, and Kurt Heinisch, the undrafted rookie on the D-line, also out today dealing with an injury. But not on this list, Cecil, is Philip Dorsett. So it looks like Philip Dorsett will get to play today, as well as Kyle Allen being the backup. So also no Jeff Driscoll. He was not elevated to the active roster. So no Wild Driscoll cat today for all you fans watching. All right, let's look at the Bears inactives. And you take a look at that list right there. Two notable names missing from that list. Well, one at least, Roquan Smith. He was questionable heading into today's game. He is active, which is good news for that Bears defense because Matt Adams, the other starting linebacker, is inactive. So a little bit of a miss for the Bears not having one of their best defensive players out there today. All right, so let's get into some of your fan questions for today's game. And we're looking live again at the field. It looks kind of cloudy out there, Cecil. I mean, we saw that rainstorm in week 1, so hopefully the rain holds off for today.
Yeah, I think that's perfect weather, though. Chicago, you leave here in the heat, so like you train in the heat all week. It makes playing in Chicago a little easier, in my opinion. So it's cool weather. I'm not sure what the temperature is, but I bet it feels good. And you can just go out there and just play hard.
All right, yeah, I agree. You were not here with the Texans when they played in 2012, and that was like a rainy Monday night game, and then it was kind of cold in 2020, and then obviously we saw the Texans or the Bears in week 1 in that puddle that they were playing in. And there's Philip Dorsett. He's warming up out there. What are you excited? I mean, he's fast. Cecil, are you excited to see him?
Yeah, I think that's the biggest thing. His explosiveness, his speed. How can Pep Hamilton figure out ways to get him down the field? Can Davis give him the ball down the field? I think last year they hit on 1 or 2 deep balls. Can that continue this year? But to have a guy that can take the top off opposite of Brandon Cooks or in the slot, I think that's exciting to see.
Yeah, and also I didn't mention Jordan Akins is on the active roster with Brevin Jordan now. He was elevated from the practice squad, so he'll be another pass catcher out there for Davis Mills. All right, your fan questions. Christian wants to know, what do you think will be the keys to a win? Christian, I mean, I talked about a little bit at the top of the show, but I just think getting this run game going and stopping the run. David Montgomery is he's coming off a big game, one of his best games since 2020, 122 yards rushing, and then, of course, we saw what Justin Fields can do with his legs.
Yeah, and I think the biggest thing, I agree with you, stopping the run and then running the ball. Damien Pierce looked very good, 15 carries last week, but he got to the second level, made guys miss. He's so aggressive. He wants to get that rack, that run after the yards after the catch, Does a really good job with that, so we continue to give him maybe 5, 6 more carries, maybe in the 20 range.
Are we going to hit 20 today?
Maybe in the 20 range, I'm hoping.
Damien Pierce, he was 11 carries and he was 15 carries, so could he near 19 or 20 today?
I'm hoping so, and I think if it progresses that way, we'll see a little more explosive runs in the running game. And then on the defensive side of the ball, you mentioned Montgomery, but you want to keep Fields in the pocket. Make him throw the ball.
Okay.
Make him prove to us he can go down the field. Week 1, I think he had 17 or so attempts in that puddle of a storm.
Right.
Last week, I think it was less than that. Make him throw the ball. Don't get him running. We don't want him and Montgomery.
He only threw the ball 11
ball.
times last week against the Packers. So
in their mind, they want to run the football. So let's make them pass the ball. Got their comfort zone a little bit.
All right, Rose wants to know, what does the O-line need to do to stop the Bears defense? Rose, I think first I need to point out that this is the second week in a row that we'll probably see the same starting 5 up front for this O-line. We'll get into starting lineups in a little bit, but I think that's key, is just that you've got that chemistry and that communication going. So stopping the Bears defense, what does the O-line need to do?
You know, I think that 31st in defense coming in, I think you mentioned. But I think it's on us, it being again, second week in a row, as you mentioned, the chemistry there, understanding each other, the calls being made to the left and right of the center, and then continuing to get Damien Pierce the football. I can't say that enough.
Yeah.
4 more carries, I think, than week 1. We need about 4 or 5, maybe even 6 more carries. I want to see 20.
We like to see 20.
I want to see 20.
Right?
That's
you
the
and
magic
me both.
number.
We want to see 20. I want to see that 2 out there in front. All right. Logan says, do you think Damien Pierce will get more touches this week? So I think that's a fitting question to get into. So are we going to talk touches? We're going to talk carries, because last week he had 1 catch.
Yeah.
15 carries. Mostly he's running the ball. He's not a David Montgomery getting a lot of catches. So what do you think?
Touches. I think it would be more touches, but I think it'll still be the same ratio. It's like 90% running game. They still don't trust him in the pass game yet. If they trust him, they'll give it to him early. They will give him the more screens, and he'll be out in more check downs. So to me, I think it'll still be like 90% running game. Then every now and again, he may get 1 or 2 passes. I think they trust little Burkhead a little bit more when it comes to catching the ball out the backfield.
All right. Christian wants to know, which player matchup are you most excited for?
You know what? I'm excited to see Derek Stingley
I was going to say.
versus these receivers, Darnell Mooney and whoever else they
Equinemius,
have.
yeah.
I think what I saw last week, and I know they got a touchdown on him, I think it was, in the game, he competed his butt off. Like, he was out there, he wasn't scared.
Right.
Cortland Sutton, 6'4", 6'5", this is huge human, and he was competing every single play, every single down. From a rookie, that's a big deal. So I want to see him do it again, and I think he'll have success.
Yeah, I was going to say Derek Stingley on whichever wide receiver they put him on.
Whoever.
It seems like, he's going to go through his learning, those bumps and bruises along the way. Lovie Smith said, that's the only way for a rookie to learn, really, is to go through that. But he made some big passes defense in the end zone and really really kept up with Cortland Sutton as best as he could. And that's, like you're saying, no easy feat for him. All right, Derwin, what can we expect from the tight ends today? Derwin, that's a great question because we talk about the wide receiver shakeup, but you've got no Brevin Jordan out there. You've got Jordan Akins, who used to be on this team, but now it's a new offense. He's back in the mix. And we saw Pharaoh Brown a little bit earlier. I mean, we keep talking about this Pep Hamilton offense using a lot more tight ends. Is today the day that we see, like O.J. Howard in week 1, 2 touchdowns? Do you think it's going to be one of those games? Or last week it was a quiet day for the tight ends?
You know what? I think today could be a day. I think with the run game going, get that going to Pierce and Burkhead. I think the play action and the seams would be down the field. I think the posts and the corners would be there just for the tight ends. So I think it's there off play action. Will they get tons of targets? No, but I think it's about making the most of the targets that they get.
Right, and there you see him, O.J. Howard on the field. There's Jordan Akins, he got his number 88 back, so that's easy to remember. But O.J. Howard in week 1, just so impressive, 2 catches, 2 touchdowns. And there's Pharaoh Brown. We saw him make a big catch last week.
Yeah.
Hopefully they can get a little bit more involved today because that'll certainly help out the passing game, especially on some of those shorter catches. So there he is, O.J. Howard catching a pass. They're in warm-ups. All right, next question. Oh, Geronimo says, do you think Derek Stingley will get his first pick today?
Ooh, you know what? You're going to get the second-year quarterback. I think it's less than 30 attempts all year.
So, that's a good point.
Coming from Fields, I don't know if he'll get a pick today, but once he gets it, it's going to be a great feeling for him. I'm really excited about Derek Stingley. I think he's a guy that's going to be a staple here for a long time.
I love that you brought up the statistics because statistically, it's nothing against Derek Stingley, but if the quarterback's just not throwing the ball,
I don't know.
Your chance of getting a pick are really, really, really low. Maybe, but I just don't think that this quarterback is going to lend himself to like just chucking the ball up for a lot of easy picks. All right, Casey says, what do you expect from Nico Collins today? Casey, Nico's a guy that we have him as our player to watch. I think you've had him. I've had him.
Yeah.
I mean, I keep waiting for Nico to sort of have this breakout game as well because we saw what he did in camp.
Yeah.
Brandon Cooks is your number 1 receiver. He is really hard to defend against for opposing corners because he's just so big and tall and he's physical.
Yeah.
So what do you expect from Nico today?
It's coming. He's getting open. He's running good routes. If you watch the film, he looks good out there. It's a matter of him getting quality balls and opportunities out there. But he is doing a good job. He's confident. You can see the growth from year 1 to year 2. You can even see the growth from college to from now. So he is going to be a good player. It's about getting his touches, and they'll come. So I'm hoping today versus this defense, we can get him some touches and see what he can do with the ball.
Yeah, if he can get open, I feel like in those one-on-one matchups,
Oh,
he's gotten really good at using his body to his advantage because he's got that size and that length, and he's going to be bigger than most of the DBs that are covering him. So if he can get open, I think he's ripe for some big catches today.
I agree.
All right, JJ says, what do you think Davis Mills needs to do for a win today? Oh, JJ. I think Davis Mills, I think he just needs to get the passing game going. That's obviously going to depend on the run game. But, don't be so worried about throwing interceptions. Just, throw the ball up. Trust your receivers to make the catches. And I think good things are going to come from this passing game. What do you think, Cecil?
I agree. Just play loose. Just be himself. I think in week 1, we saw Davis look really good for 3.5 quarters. I think week 2, he maybe was thinking a little bit more. Just be yourself, Davis, I call him David. Have fun out there. And then the throws we have to make, we have to complete. Let's complete those. And then let's try to hit the tight spots down the hall. But I'm just excited for him for his opportunity. It's going to be good.
We saw so much of what he did towards the end of last year late.
Yeah.
Like he was
just
so efficient. And, he was hitting his receivers. receivers. We saw it all throughout camp. So you know it's there. You know it just needs to be unlocked a little bit. Maybe the first 2 games just sort of shaking the rust off with the receivers that you hadn't seen in the preseason. And you still see some new receivers out there today like Philip Dorsett and some of these new tight ends. And you've got Chris Moore down there with Nico Collins. So hopefully these guys can sort of help Davis Mills out today and get the passing game going. It'd be nice to get a win today in Chicago. Mitch wants to know, do you think Damien Pierce will carry for 100 yards today? Ooh. Mitch, if there's any day, and I mentioned it, 189 yards on average, that's what this Bears defense is giving up on the ground. So I think that today could be the day.
DB, I'm saying yes.
Yes,
today
okay. I like your decisiveness.
It's going to be 109 yards today on 23 carries. I'm calling it out now. I'm calling it.
I like
today
the
is
confidence.
the day.
I waffle like, yeah, maybe it could be the day. And this is like, no, it is going to be the day. I like it. Yes. Today's going to be the day. That's what we say, Mitch. All right. Another rookie that could have a breakout game. Jalen Petrie is going to get his 3rd start in the NFL today. He's been doing some nice things back there in the secondary. And our very own Drew Doherty had a chance to catch up with him a little earlier in the week.
Thank you so much. It's time for a preview. It's the pregame show with Jalen Petrie, defensive back for the Houston Texans. Jalen, Bears are on tap Sunday at Chicago. What do you think of the direction of this defense? Where are you guys headed right now, you think?
I feel like we're heading in the right direction. You know, we're doing a lot of good things. We have some great leaders that are leading us the right way, and I think everybody is hungry to win. You know, everybody takes their job serious, and when you have a group of guys that does that, I feel like you're going to continue to grow and continue to get to where you want to go.
Yeah, you know, in the preseason we talked with Lovie Smith quite a bit, and one of the things he said is if you start at safety in this defense, you're able to coach this defense anywhere. You and Jonathan Owens are guys that are kind of fitting that bill. How true do you think that is when he says something like that? I mean, your knowledge, I imagine your brain might hurt from absorbing so much of this stuff, right?
A little bit, but, you know, I have a great coaches, and Coach Joe and, you know, and Ben. They do a great job at preparing us throughout the week, making sure that we know everything. And I feel like during camp, those are some of the harder times because, you know, you're learning new material. But, you know, they stayed on top of it and made things very easy for you to learn and apply on the field.
Yeah, and how much has that made you better as a player, just knowing all that stuff?
A lot better. You know, he's given me Coach Joe, he's been coaching for 24 years, and he's given me so much wisdom, and I've learned so much in these last couple of months, and, you know, I'm grateful for that.
You've done some really nice things so far in the season. Texans obviously gunning for a win. Individually, what are some target areas that you want to maybe improve upon and get better at?
Yeah, for sure. I want to make some impact plays. I want to get some turnovers and improve on my tackling. I think I can be able to, you know, shoot gaps and play my assignment. And when I do that, I'm just making sure that I wrap up and make the tackle.
All right. The quarterback you'll face is Justin Fields for the Bears. What are your early impressions of what he can do and what you've seen from him?
I feel like Fields is a great talent. You know, he could throw the ball deep. He obviously has the wheels to run around, and I think it's going to be a good challenge for us come Sunday.
And it's an interesting group of pass catchers he has at receiver and tight end. What have you thought of them?
Oh, they're great. You know, I think they do a good job at balancing the run and the pass. And, you know, they do have some bigger threats in their outside guys. And they also have, you know, Mooney in the slot, who's also, you know, a speedster. So they have a good balance of targets, and I think it'll be a good challenge for us.
Yeah, and, you know, another week and another unique running back who is a real challenge for you guys, a real threat. David Montgomery, what does he do well, and what do you guys have to look out for?
Yeah, David, he's a tough runner. You know, he's always looking to get the extra yards. And, you know, I love football players that are, you know, feisty like that and, you know, very physical. So we look to, you know, bring it to him early and, you know, just do our assignment, stand in our gap and running through our fits. All
right, on the road at noon, when you wake up, what are you eating for breakfast to power yourself, huh?
I usually eat some fruit. I try to be on the lighter side because I don't want my, you know, stomach acting up. And maybe like probably about 30, 45 minutes before the game, I'll eat like a sandwich or something to get, you know, that fuel for the game.
Good stuff. And is there anything special you listen to pregame?
Nah, but I do try to watch, you know, some clips from the movie He Got Game. That's one of my rituals, and I try to stick to that as much as I can.
He Got Game with Ray Allen and Denzel Washington. Yeah, all right. Good stuff. Jalen Petrie, best of luck against the Bears on Sunday. Thanks so much for the time, my friend.
Thank you.
That might be a first. He Got Game. Cecil, quick plot summary of He Got Game. How does this pump you up for game?
How does it pump you up? I don't know, but I love the movie. It's a Spike Lee joint. Long story short, it's about a guy who is Ray Allen, actually, in the movie. He's acting in it. His name is Jesus Shuttlesworth, and he's a superstar high school basketball player, and he's getting recruited. So it's over-the-top recruiting when it comes to money and the girls and the visit to college and all this crazy stuff. It's just a lot of fun in the movie. But he watches it to get pumped up. So I guess that's just Petrie's thing.
Yeah, that's just it. You know what gets us pumped up? Starting lineups. Let's get into some of your starting
Let's do
lineups
it.
for the week. We're going to start off with the offense. There they are. Davis Mills, Damien Pierce, Troy Hairston, Brandon Cooks, Nico Collins, Pharaoh Brown. But the offensive line, look at that. You love to see it. Same starting five. Kenyon Green, though, was not on our graphic last week.
He wasn't.
He's actually a starter this week at left guard, so love to see that. And let's switch over and look at the defensive starters for today. No changes up front. Good thing to see Malik Collins in there because he was listed as questionable, so he is active for today's game. Then you got your linebackers, and then in the secondary, no changes. Stanley, Nelson, Owens, and Petrie holding it down back there. All right, those are your starting lineups for today. Brandon Cooks out there. I don't know if you would count him as a sleeper of your game, but let's see. What if we had to pick a sleeper of the game presented by Mattress Firm? Who is yours?
You know what?
And I'm not saying you can't pick Brandon Cooks. You can pick Brandon Cooks.
I think he's going to have a bounce-back game this week. I don't think he's played up to his standards because he probably has pretty high standards for himself. 6 years, 1,000 yards, so I know what his standards are. I'm going to go Petrie.
Oh, okay.
Because of how aggressive they will be, the Bears, in the run game. I expected him to be in the box a little more, involved in the play, and then when they try to go short game, they try to get the ball to the seams or in the short, intermediate range, I think Petrie's going to have a really good opportunity to slow that down in the passing game.
I feel like they're showing me the tight ends because they want me to pick a tight end for my sleeper of the game. I don't know. Which one would you pick if you had to pick a sleeper?
I'm biased. I would say Pharaoh Brown.
Yeah, I like Pharaoh a lot too, but Howard with those 2 touchdown catches.
And then he probably got a better understanding of the offense now because he's been here for about 3 weeks.
He's had a couple of weeks in, but we'll go with Jay Howard.
There it is.
Why not? I'm gonna go. I mean, I think you could have picked any of those 3 tight ends because if they're gonna get catches, they're all really, really strong as pass catchers. All right, those are your sleepers of the game presented by Mattress Firm. Don't add us after the game if you change your fantasy lineup because of that. All right, there he is, Lovie Smith, hoping to win some games for the Texans as head coach at Soldier Field. He would love to get one today. We'd love to get one today as well. And we are just about 36 minutes away from kickoff. You can watch the game on CBS and listen on Sports Radio 610. Catch us on HoustonTexans.com after the game for the complete wrap-up. That's going to do it for today. Thank you to everyone that worked on the show. Thank you to everyone watching. Have yourselves a great game day. And as always, go Texans.